Hello, my name is Patricia Ramirez, and the community that I chose are the Mexican soldiers of World War II. I chose this community because I wanted to know more about the role of Mexican Americans before the Civil Rights Movement and their participation in world wars. For my first immersion activity, I watched two documentaries, one of which focused on the lives of three Mexican Soldiers, Gonzalo Garza, Virgilio Rogel, and Anastasio Juarez, who grew up poor, speaking little English and with little education, and working in the fields prior to enlisting. Many joined out of the sense of duty and a hope for a better life, which they accomplished as they were able to access the GI Bill benefits given after the war to further their education when they never considered college before. The other documentary focused primarily on the war stories of Mexican soldiers and also takes note of the Bushmasters, an elite force of mostly Mexican soldiers who trained in the jungles of Panama to fight the Pacific, calling them the greatest combat team. My second immersion activity was reading the nonfiction book Patriots from the Barrio, which follows Ramon, who is in the All-Mexican Texas Infantry Division. The book describes how Ramon was descended from the Mexican immigrants who provided labor for the U.S. during World War I. Most of these immigrants and citizens were deported during the Great Depression, save for Ramon's family. Ramon then became like many poor working-class Mexican Americans who enlisted in hope for financial mobility. There he made himself at home, as many of his unit were made up of his classmates from the barrio. The book narrates from several perspectives of several battles, including the failure of Rapido River crossing, a battle in which many soldiers believed they were sent to slaughter unnecessarily. This is addressed again in the fiction book, The Dark Side of the American Dream, which is centered around young Miguel, who enlists in the 141st Regiment of Texas Infantry Division. Miguel is also a youth from the barrio who fights in the Battle of Rapido River. Just as he was dreaming of a military career, he is shot and wounded at a disastrous battle, being one of the 23 of 150 men who were outnumbered yet survived. Miguel returns home and receives a Medal of Honor, but after discovering the battle was pushed by his superiors, despite being outnumbered by 1,000 and undersupplied, simply to outdo a similar mission by the French. This information and the continuing discrimination in the U.S. leaves Miguel questioning the American dream. As they were fighting, there was much hope for change as the prevalent image of the Mexican American was that of a hoodlum. They faced much discrimination at home with the Sleepy Lagoon incident in which the police wrongly arrested 600 men from the barrio. In 1943, the 10-day Zoot Suit riots had 1,000 sailor soldiers, searching and beating Mexican youth to the point LA closed itself off from military men. In spite of the stereotypes Mexican soldiers face, they contributed much to World War II. From the 2.7 million in the U.S., 700,000 served, and 78% of Mexican draft-age males served. Mexican experienced high draft rates as they were not essential workers, despite the Title Amendment exempting agricultural workers from the draft. Without a single bad report, Mexican-American soldiers received 12 Congressional Medals of Honor, becoming the most decorated group of World War II. Despite this, many of the accomplishments remained unrecognized by the public as Mexican-Americans optimistic that life would change after the service continued to experience discrimination as a whole. They were rejected in restaurants, even in uniform. Decorated soldiers were denied burial on the basis of their Mexican descent, denied housing, and many were denied the GI Bill, to the point World War II soldier Hector Garcia created the GI Forum to address these issues. History repeated itself as just in World War I, the contributions of Mexican-Americans was followed by the largest mass deportation campaign, Operation Wetback, deporting legal record workers brought by the U.S. and U.S. citizens, and leaving the Mexican-American soldiers overlooked in their placement in American history. The community has experienced both patriotism, yet also discrimination and erasure, and it is important for us to remember the community that gave us much, the Mexican-American World War II soldiers.